Right, what's up everybody? So today, the topic that I want to talk about is accurate thinking. And here's the hard truth, right? I'm going to get into this today, but the truth is, whether you want to hear this or not, right? Most people don't actually think. And it's something that I have to ask myself every day, right? Am I actually thinking? Am I actually thinking, or am I being a drifter? And this is something that my mentor says. He says that, 2% of the population think, 3% think they think, and the other 95% of the world would rather die than think. All right, so today I'm going to get into the topic accurate thinking and talk about, 3 major points. I'm going to talk about number 1, what does it mean to actually think? Right? What does it mean to actually think? Number 2, I'm going to talk about, important facts versus unimportant facts. And right, a lot of people have all these cool facts and knowledge, but where is it really getting them? And then finally, number 3, I'm gonna talk about, how to eliminate, the wrong type of thinking, right? And what I mean by this is like, how do we actually start thinking accurately? Right? How do we get down to the core of, is what I'm thinking about really true? Okay, so that's going to be the topic today, accurate thinking, right? This is the one thing that we have that no other species in the world has, and it's the ability to think, right? Now the challenge is, are we actually using this ability? Are we actually using this ability to maybe escape the rat race, maybe escape the ideas that the world has imposed on us? Okay, so I'm going to talk about, first and foremost, what does it mean to actually think? And this is something that I learned from Tony Robbins, right? All thinking is, Tony Robbins says this, all thinking is just simply asking questions and answering them, right? All thinking is simply asking the right questions and finding the answers to them. It's really simple when you boil it down. Now the challenge is, right, what are the questions that most people are asking? Right? Are they questions that are going to help you become, better off financially? Or are they questions of, oh, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why does this always happen to me? Right? Think about it. When people ask all these habitual questions, they're typically all not even empowering at all. Right? And now the thing is, right, every question that you ask, there's always an answer to. Right? So if you're asking a lousy question, you're going to get a lousy answer. Oh, why does this always happen to me? Right? There's going to be an answer to it. It's going to tell you, well, this, and that. That's why it's always going to happen to you. Right? So now the challenge is, okay, how can we start changing the types of questions that we're actually asking ourselves? Right? How do I escape the rat race? How do I get out of the 9-to-5 job? Right? We got to start thinking about better questions, right? Start off there, right? How do I ask a better question to find the answer to, so that I get a better answer, and at the end of the day, what am I looking for? I just want better results. I just want better results in my life, right? So, right, when it comes to actually thinking, it comes down to asking better questions, right? You can change the quality of your life simply by changing the quality of your questions. All right, now the second part that I was going to make was actually around important facts versus unimportant facts, but I'm going to get to that later. I'm going to talk about point number 3 for a second, because I think this flows more smoothly, right? There's the next point that I want to make in this talk is this, right? A lot of people think, oh, it's all about positive thinking. We just got to be positive. It's going to work out. And, that's not going to help you at the end of the day, just always being positive. No, we got to acknowledge the fact that there's bad things going on, and we got to be ready for them, right? If you look at a garden and it's got all these weeds growing in it, and you just think to yourself, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. There's clearly weeds in the garden, right? You can't just be positive and miss the point, right? We got to be accurate. It all comes down to accurate thinking, not positive thinking, okay? So what I want to talk about now is, how do we actually know if our thoughts are being accurate? Right? How do we dissect our thoughts? Because the truth is, a lot of the ideas that we've been given are actually wrong ideas. This idea that you just got to go to school and get a job and buy the house and right, live happily ever after, right? Most people that go that route are still in the rat race. They're still in the rat race. What I'm saying is, like, that's not the way to think. That's not the way to think, right? We got to start actually questioning our thinking. So there's 4 major questions. I actually learned this from Dr. Amen, who is one of the world's most famous brain scanning psychiatrist. I think he is. He wrote multiple books about the brain, and the book that I got this from was called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And so it's basically 4 questions to help you boil down. Like, let's say you have this thought or this limiting belief. Well, we got to figure out, is this limiting belief really true? So you got to ask yourself, question number 1, is this belief actually true? Am I absolutely certain that this belief is true? And then number 2 is, how, like, am I absolutely certain that this belief is true, right? Number 1 is this. Number 1 is this thought true? Is this thought true? Number 2 is, am I sure that this thought is absolutely true? I'll give you an example afterwards. Right, number 3 is this, right? How do I feel when I accept this thought as true, or I accept this belief as true? And number 4 is, who would I be? Who would I become if I no longer had this type of thought, this type of belief, etc., etc. Right? And let's just give an example so that people can actually follow. Right? If we're talking about, it's impossible for me to get rich, right? I had a tough upbringing. It's simply impossible for me to break free and make double my income, let's just say. Right? So you got to ask yourself, well, is that thought true? Is it true that you absolutely can't get rich, right? Well, the truth is, like, what's really stopping you? What's really stopping you from making money on your phone? Because at the end of the day, like, everyone that's making money online, I don't see the internet necessarily discriminating against certain people just because you had a certain upbringing, right? I think, like Wallace E. Wattles in the book Science of Getting Rich, the Science of Getting Rich talks about, smart people can get rich, but then again, also blockheads are out here getting rich. Right? So I don't think there's necessarily anyone stopping you from doubling your income. Now, the second question is, can I absolutely be sure that this thought is true? Am I absolutely sure that it's impossible for me to get rich? Am I absolutely sure that it's impossible for me to double my income? And, right, there's people doing the social media that just decided, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go this route. I'm gonna figure it out, and they have certainly doubled their income. Now, who's to say that's not possible for you? Right? It's absolutely possible, right? We got to just boil down and start cracking, like, these wrong beliefs. Now, number 3, right? How do I feel when I think the thought of, oh, I can never, be financially free, or I can never be rich, right? How do I feel? Well, truthfully, the feeling is kind of crappy. It's a feeling that I don't want to feel. It's a feeling of I don't have control over, the type of finances that I have. Right? So why would I want to feel that way? And then number 4 is, who would I become if I no longer had this negative belief? Right? Who would I become if I no longer had this belief that I can't double my income, that I can't, etc., etc. Right? Who would I be? Who would that person be? Right? That person would be someone that is definite in the way that they think, that has a plan, and that decides, you know what, I'm going to take continuous action on this plan, and I'm not going to recognize any such thing as failure. Right? So who is that person inside of you that cracks down on this belief? Who would I be if I never, let this limiting belief stop me? Right? And so that's like 4 major points that you can really use for any example out there of a limiting belief that you got, that you're not good enough, that you can't, speak publicly, or you can't start your own company or business. Right? Like, all these beliefs that we have, that we were told growing up, can be broken down. And it comes down to accurate thinking, right? Is this belief true? I'm not going to say that, I don't have limiting beliefs myself that may not be true, but I am saying that this process is going to help me absolutely start cracking down and being like, you know what? A lot of these thoughts that I have about myself, they're a bunch of BS. They're not helping me. They're not serving me. I'm not sure how I'm possibly going to advance far in life with this type of thinking. I got to break it down. I got to get to the root cause of this, and I got to start thinking